Okay, imagine this. You're walking barefoot, not paying attention, and your foot lands dead center on a red dirt mound. Half a second later, your entire leg is on fire. Not one sting, not five, dozens, all at the exact same moment, like every single ant on that mound just got the memo at once. You're hopping around, swearing, slapping your own ankle like it personally betrayed you, and the mound doesn't even flinch, completely fine. So real question, how does something that tiny do that much damage, that fast, all together, like it's one brain instead of 1,000 tiny ones? You're probably thinking it's the venom, right? Like, these things must be packing something insane. Nope, not even close. The individual bug is basically never the scary part. This is actually about math, not poison, and once you see how the math works, you're never gonna look at a swarm the same way again. Justin Schmidt, an entomologist at the Southwestern Biological Institute, spent literal decades getting stung on purpose by ants, bees, wasps, all of it, to test one idea. His theory, the more a colony has to lose, the more brutal its defense evolves to be. Not because one member is special, because when you're defending something huge, you need every single soldier willing to throw themselves at the threat without hesitation. Alone, almost none of these bugs are dangerous. Together, completely different animal. So how does together actually work? Let's scale it up. 3 levels, each one worse than the last. First up, fire ants. One Solenopsis invictus sting is basically nothing. Schmidt rated it a 1 out of 4 on his own pain scale. But here's the thing, fire ants never attack solo. The second one ant gets disturbed, it releases an alarm pheromone from glands near its jaw, basically a chemical scream every nearby ant can smell instantly. And that smell doesn't just mean danger, it means exactly where. Every ant that catches it runs straight to that spot and hits the same target. Dozens of stings turn into hundreds, all aimed at one point. That's enough to kill a calf, a fawn, a whole nest of baby birds that can't get away fast enough. One ant, nothing. A mound of them hitting the same spot at once? Genuinely dangerous. Kind of terrifying that it's all just smell, right? Second, Africanized honeybees. Ever wonder why these things have such a bad reputation? Back in 1956, Warwick Kerr, a honeybee geneticist at the University of Sao Paulo, imported a more defensive African bee strain hoping for tougher colonies. A few escaped, bred with local bees, and boom, the most defensive honeybee on Earth was born. The second one of these bees stings you, it releases an alarm pheromone that smells almost sweet, kind of like bananas, and that scent literally sticks to your skin and clothes. Every bee downwind reads that smell as a marked target and comes straight for you, which is exactly why running doesn't work. You're wearing the target now. These bees swarm at the slightest disturbance, sometimes thousands at once, chasing you for over a quarter mile. And yet, researchers in Rio de Janeiro documented cattle stung hundreds of times by these swarms, and weeks later, fully healed. So bees are powerful, but there's a ceiling. Their weapon is pain, not force. Which raises the question, what happens when a swarm's weapon isn't pain at all? Third, driver ants. Daniel Kronauer at the University of Copenhagen mapped the family tree of Doralus, the driver ants of Central and East Africa, and confirmed they're some of the most dominant predators on the entire forest floor. A single colony can hold over 20 million ants, and here's the wild part, most of the workers are basically blind. They coordinate almost entirely through pheromone trails left by the ants ahead of them, plus constant physical contact, tapping antennae on whoever's next to them just to stay in formation. No single ant sees the big picture. Every one of them is just following a smell and a touch. And somehow, that's enough to move 20 million bodies as one single organism. They don't sting, they bite, and when the whole column moves, it moves like one giant creature made of 20 million tiny ones, flowing into mouths, nostrils, ears, anything that can't run fast enough. There are documented cases of tethered goats killed exactly this way. This is the point where the math stops being defense and starts being an actual weapon. Here's the twist that should genuinely mess with your head. None of these 3 insects are special on their own. One fire ant, one honeybee, one driver ant, all basically harmless, all things you'd flick off your arm without a second thought. The danger was never in any single one of them, it was always the number, and how perfectly in sync that number could move. Wild that we spend so much time scared of the individual, when the individual was never the threat. So why does this actually matter to you? You've probably judged threats in your own life the exact same broken way, always scanning for the one big scary thing, the one loud confrontation, the one obvious red flag. But be honest, what actually takes people down usually isn't one big thing at all. It's 1,000 small ones hitting the exact same spot, at the exact same time, perfectly in sync, the same way one fire ant means nothing and a mound of them means everything. So next time something small stings you and you brush it off, ask yourself the real question. Is this actually alone? Or is this just the first one, with 100 more already on the way, aiming for that exact same spot?